Well, this had to happen really, didn't it, when you think? I mean, of course, everybody's going to ask that question. And we're talking, of course, about this. Where did all the missing millions go with the Duchess of York and, more importantly, the Duke of York? And on top of all of that, if that wasn't enough, well, now William wants to know exactly where did the money disappear to. As ever, let me explain. Morning, nice to see you, chums. Thank you so much for your time in a very wet and windy United Kingdom at the moment. We've kind of got some kind of storm going, as you can see from from the hair blowing around. It's a nightmare, isn't it? But actually it's quite mild. If you are in the United Kingdom, let me know if you're finding it chilly or not. One thing that's just kind of got my goat though is this thing, when you see a message on your phone, and we get them all, don't we? Climate change, the water, blah blah blah. You go on any street, particularly in London, they're all chock-a-block with leaves, right? Nobody is clearing these leaves. So my argument is, would there be so much water waste for the water companies? And of course, would there be all of these problems if actually, do you remember the old days? People around this time of year would sweep the roads, get rid of the leaves and unblock the drains. The climate change thing, yes, it's there, but not as bad as people make it out. If the people that we paid our hard-earned taxes to, well, did the job, it wouldn't be as bad, would it? Yes, I know. You agree with you? Yes, of course. But thank you. I get so angry though. You just see it all teeming out. It's a little bit like this when you talk about missing millions. And this is a really interesting side to this ongoing saga, of course, of the Duke and Duchess of York. You see, the problem now that you've got, and this really is a huge problem, because the problem really with Fergie is the never-ending spending, the money. Recently, you may or may not know that she actually sold a very expensive house in Mayfair in Belgravia, and I think at a little bit of a loss, but we're talking about 4 million. Now, all of this escalated, as you know, this bombshell sort of stuff regarding Epstein and all the other stuff, that really sort of escalated, all thanks to the leaked email. Now, I can tell you there is more and more and more, but more frightening for celebrities, and this is the thing where I try and tell you that there are two sides to this. Everybody's focusing on Prince Andrew right now, but the bigger picture are there are other people in this frame as well. And Ghislaine Maxwell, who's still incarcerated, albeit in a very soft prison, the story goes, of course, that really she has lots and lots and lots of pictures with famous people. A little bit like this particular picture. Now, they could be, of course, incredibly, and I'm not suggesting anything untoward with this particular picture, but they're just innocent pictures of taken at a time in the 90s or whatever, when people just took snaps and didn't realize the attachments that could be in years to come. The thing that I've always noticed when you're doing this particular job, if you interview somebody, when you have that picture, it's very, very dangerous, because in the modern times now, I've sat down with interviews and suddenly their assistants coming in started to film the process, of which I've said no, because the deal is between myself and the individual. You see what I mean? Now, moving forward, the problem that you have with Sarah Ferguson, and this is the bigger issue, is where did all of this money go? I mean, as right back, say, as last year, if you remember, Sarah popped up on the ITV daytime show This Morning. And the big story at the time, if you remember, was that Sarah could be joining the failing programme to boost the ratings. There she was alongside Alison Hammond and Dermot O'Leary, and it was all going to be marvellous and everything was going to move forward, all that sort of stuff. And then it just petered out. Well, the reason why it petered out was it was a cost-effective thing. They couldn't afford to give Sarah the money that she required. And there was a lot of money that Sarah required, If you think about it, hair, makeup, car, accommodation, and then, of course, frocks. And really, all they were literally paying for was the fact that they were using the Duchess of York title, and she allegedly was going to become some kind of agony aunt to instruct the viewers of This Morning with their questions. It all seemed very jolly, very well. ITV seemed quite keen, and then they got the bill. Again, I have to say allegedly, and very quickly the whole thing fell apart. What's interesting also is now, there were other deals in situ, big deals with publishing houses both in Australia and over here in the United Kingdom. And on top of all of that, if you remember, Sarah famously said she wouldn't mind a part in Bridgerton. That is the Netflix series set in a wonderful period, right? She figured that why not Fergie in Bridgerton? And she pushed really hard, so much so that the people that she had employed at the time behind the scenes were pushing hard also. Now, after the Bridgerton sort of thing fell apart, of course, Fergie, the Duchess of York as she then was looking for big bucks. And really, she was on a bit of a comeback trail. And I can tell you that because I knew exactly what she was doing at the time. She was looking for new publishing deals, new magazine features, suddenly because she'd been welcomed back into the monarchy, the royal family, the Christmas thing, even going way back, of course, to invites to weddings and all that sort of stuff. Well, this was now, she was sort of back in. And the story went that obviously Prince Andrew, in the fullness of time, would be welcomed back. Many of us, of course, inside knew that that simply wasn't going to be the case because of what truly was still yet to come out. Now, as I've often said, and this is the thing about our wonderful friendship group, what I would say to you is this, that there are bigger fish in that goldfish bowl in the celebrity world that have yet to emerge. Now, some of them, I don't mean this disrespectfully to the Duke of York as he was, but a little bit brighter at how they deal with such negative publicity. As I told you, Andrew never bothered to get the master tapes, didn't agree to a sort of sign-off after that disastrous Newsnight interview, told his mother, the Queen, was terrific, And I mean, this is a level of stupidity you might want to apply to the whole thing. Fergie and Andrew have often ridden through the path of this and thought, well, because of the monarchy, and this is a very similar path to the duo in Montecito. Harry believes that the royals rule, as it were. His title will push him through certain things. And this is exactly, if you like, a Mark II with Meghan. She figured, well, I'm a duchess, she does this, why can't I do that? And if you remember, a couple of months back, I told you exclusively here on the show how Meghan had written to His Majesty the King to basically point out, well, the Duchess of York is selling books and she's doing this, she wants to appear on that, she's appearing on This Morning as an agony aunt. What is the difference of me using my title? Now, we don't know exactly how that moulded out or whatever, because consequently we didn't find the end result. You don't always get to know that. Meghan's team were very keen, again, I have to say allegedly, to let that side of it be pointed out, that, well, there's a double standard here. And you might actually say that if you wanted to be impartial. But moving forward, this gets even worse, you see, because now clearly a full investigation has gone underway. And the problem now really for Sarah Ferguson and indeed the Duke of York is she clearly has been a very big breadwinner, bringing in a lot of money, millions some might say. Now, as I said, what was interesting was the This Morning thing was going to be this big sort of comeback, and they couldn't wait to push it. But then Sarah's fee really just eclipsed what they could afford. Now, again, Sarah didn't realise that the benefit of being, say, on a weekly programme inside the United Kingdom, which would be picked up around the world, would possibly help sales. Sarah only looks at the bottom line, the money that she can have. Now, finally, I've been told from an excellent source, this is exactly what William is now investigating himself. People underestimate William because, and this is my theory, tell me if you think I'm right here, chums, because we've known him a long time, we're still seeing, if you like, the young man, the quite shy, bashful guy. He's now literally looking at the monarchy as his future, as he should do in his 40s. And so he's thinking, well, hang on a minute, you've had all of this money. Suddenly, how come Sarah doesn't have anywhere to live? Why couldn't she go and stay with X? Why are we then paying for this person who's now, for want of a better word, and I don't mean to be unkind, but no use to the British monarchy because you can't send her out in anything. There will be no rehabilitation. So, basically now, William, according to my source, has asked to see the books, right? He wants to know where has the money gone. Now, of course, a lot of people at the parliamentary side of it are looking at the peppercorn rent they talk about with Royal Lodge and all that sort of stuff. To me, that's by the by. It is the money that's coming in that's been more interesting because clearly over the last few years, and as I said, at a recent sale of the Mayfair house, that would ensure that she would have somewhere to live. And William, as I told you the other day, and I believe alongside Catherine, the Princess of Wales, have no desire whatsoever to have Fergie, as she's affectionately known, maybe not so much now, and of course the Duke of York on Crown property, Crown estate property, and in particular Windsor. My surmise would be that she could end up being offered something in a sort of grace and favour apartment out at Kensington Palace, lost in the mire of that. But again, it's William that's driving this. Now, the downside to this is that, as you can imagine, His Majesty the King is wearing the monarch's hat, or the crown, should I say, and a family hat, and thinking, what do I do here? This is my younger brother. I promised my mum I would look after this kid. And consequently, each and every time he's making it very, very difficult. As for Sarah, I think he can be a little bit far more cutting. But this is now driving a little bit of a wedge, I've been told, between His Majesty the King and, of course, William. And again, it's always about power, money, wealth, and more importantly, prestige. And the bottom line is, Sarah Ferguson does not want a life without prestige, without the title, without some association. And many might say, this reminds you of somebody else. As ever, I'd love to know what you think to this particular story in the comments below. Should we be providing a home for Sarah Ferguson? She has now 2 grown-up daughters with their own families. Why can't she ship off with them? The bottom line is, somewhere along the line, this isn't going to play out well with the British taxpayer. William is far ahead of that. He knows what needs to be done. The thing is, can he now force his father, who has got major health problems, as we know, moving forward to see his point of view? All of this is still spinning around in the land of Windsor. Neil Shaw, Kensington, London.